Hey guys, and welcome back to the Teach the Children podcast. I'm your host, Laura Battles, and this week I'm going to talk a little bit about Homelink and MCP, or Mid-Columbia Partnership, which are two programs you can use here in conjunction with our public school system. But before I dive into why you should or shouldn't or could or couldn't use those programs, I just wanted to remind you all to take 30 seconds and go like, follow, subscribe, rate this podcast a 5-star rating, especially if you think we deserve it. And then share this so that way people who are interested in homeschooling or maybe are on the fence about homeschooling can get this information available to them. That just helps push this podcast out there into the podcasting world and just, again, shares. My heart is to share this podcast with people who are just maybe not sure if they want to homeschool or not. And this is the way to convince them to homeschool and to have their family come back to being around the dinner table or the coffee table, around the couch, and just restoring families. So that's really the heart of this podcast, is bringing families back home where they can grow together and become a strong family. All right. Also, check out Hungry for Wisdom Podcast Network. That's a part of this podcast. It's a part of that network. It's hfw.network. There are 4 other podcasts on here. There's one in Spanish. There's one in Mandarin. And then there's 2 here local. Austin and Cheyenne are with Practical Discipleship. And Dustin Myers is with the Grace and Truth Hungry for Wisdom podcast. Those are just 4 great methods of getting more just theology put into your house. All right, back at it. Homelink or MCP. MCP, Mid-Columbia Partnership, is with the Kennewick School District. Homelink is with the Richland School District. If you're thinking about homeschooling in any capacity, you can join one of these 2 programs. They're called ALE, or Alternative Learning Environments. You have to apply for them, and if they have space in their program, they can accept your family into it. Each of them has a little bit different rule sets of how you can join, what you are required to do. I know Homelink a little bit more than I know MCP, just because I've been in Homelink, but things have changed over the last 3 years that I've been out of it. So I'm going to give you the information to the best of my knowledge. I just went and did a little bit of research on what is required. So here we go. Reason 1 why you should or could use Homelink is if you are nervous to homeschool independently. So let's define some words real quick. Independent homeschoolers. Those are us who are not tied to the public school system in any form or fashion. We are essentially able to do whatever we want to as long as we follow the state rules. In the state of Washington, we have 4 rules. First one, you have to submit a declaration of intent on September 15th of every year. And this is for any kids in your house over the age of 8. I have a 7, I'll have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old by the time September 15th rolls around. I will, on September 15th, submit my DOI, my Declaration of Intent, to the superintendent of the school district I am zoned for, saying my child's name and their age. And that is it. I pull the form from the Washington Homeschool organization page. I submit that. When my 7-year-old turns 8, within 2 weeks of him turning 8, I will submit the form saying he is 8, and now we have to now follow the rules for him also. So the first thing is the Declaration of Intent. I also have to be a certified homeschool teacher. What does that mean? It means I either have 45 college credits or my spouse has 45 college credits. I have that, so check, I'm done. I don't have to do anything more. If I didn't, he would have to have 45 credits to oversee what is going on around the house every day. Let's say he didn't, though. Neither of us do. You guys can take a homeschool qualification course that is given by Washington Homeschool Organization. It's done via Zoom. You go to their website. They have a couple of those classes every year. I think they cost a little bit of money. If money is a hindrance for you to take that class, reach out to them. They have ways to help you get into that class. They want to make sure if you want to homeschool independently, you can homeschool. So they're going to make sure you can do that. There are a few other ways you can become a qualified homeschool parent. One of them, which I don't know why you would choose this method, but I guess some people have, it is to ask permission from the superintendent. I am personally against this. I don't want to ask permission from the school district from which I'm taking my child out of if I can homeschool, because if they say no and I'm qualified in another area, why would I worry about this? So that's another option. And I believe there's a fourth option of how you can become qualified. Don't remember off the top of my head, but the Washington Homeschool Organization, the WHO, is totally in the know. So to be an independent homeschooler, again, review, you have to do your DOI on September 15th, be qualified. You have to do 1,000 hours of homeschool in a calendar year. So that's every 365 days. If you break that down, it's like 2 or 3 hours a day. Totally manageable, totally doable. Think about all the things you do with your kids. Count it all as homeschool. Boom, got it done. Easy. Don't track your hours. No one is going to ask you if you've done it. There is no homeschool police that's going to come to your door and ask for your log of 1,000 hours. So just know in the back of your mind that as long as you're not just sitting them in front of a TV all day, every day, you're homeschooling, you're doing it great. You're homeschooling it correctly just by doing it. And then the fourth thing is you have to do a yearly test. A lot of tests are slanted towards the spring. So I recommend doing your homeschool testing in the spring. But you're allowed to do your homeschool testing anytime from January 1st to December 31st. Once you get it done, check, you're good for the next year. So that's what makes you an independent homeschooler. Homelink and MCP, you are not an independent homeschooler. You are still a public school child. Your child is still part of the public school, meaning you still follow their rules, but you are the one teaching the curriculum. So Homelink is a great way for you to get your feet wet, and MCP to get your feet wet to see if homeschooling is going to work out for you. You are still their teacher. They can, if you're a full-time student, if you're enrolled full-time at one of those two schools, take classes online or take private lessons, take classes in person or take some private lessons if you are considered a full-time student, which both of those, that full-time student varies what their definition is depending on which school you're at, MCP or Homelink. Make sure you talk to them about how you make sure you're a full-time student to make sure you can get the most amount of classes and the private lessons that are offered through those schools. But there's also a few things that happen when you're still tied to the school district. If the school district says in order to touch campus, you have to do X, Y, and Z, you have to do X, Y, and Z to get your kid on campus. If I know Homelink is maxed out, they only have so much room. So I believe as of right now, they're only taking students who are going to go full time. So that means you are teaching all the subjects through state approved curriculum. If you are no, I want to do science on my own, I don't want to report it in, they may not let you in. The same would go with language arts or, history or whatever it is. Right now, Homelink is so overwhelmed and not overwhelmed, that's not the right word, but overfilled with students. They're only taking students who are willing to be full-time. They're looking for a bigger campus so that way they can take more students in, and 100% agree that they should have a bigger campus to take more students in so that we can expand that program over there. But if you are new to homeschooling, you're not quite sure if it's the best option for you and your family, choose Homelink or MCP. It helps get your feet wet. You have consultants who can help guide you through the process of picking out curriculum, help you guide you through the process of figuring out the best way to teach your children at home. All those things you can get, all those extra helps you can get with Homelink or MCP. All right, so number 2, why you should or could use Homelink MCP is you think your child is going to fall behind. They give you resources that for either low cost or for free that you may not be able to get anywhere else in the Tri-Cities. The independent homeschool community is growing here in the Tri-Cities. There have just blossomed everywhere. It is beautiful to see. All these resources become available that used to be you could only get at public school, whether that be dyslexia classes, dysgraphia classes, speech, all those kind of things. It used to be so hard to get those classes anywhere but through the public school. So using Homelink and MCP really gave you those options to access. But now that the independent homeschoolers are like, we want those classes and we don't necessarily want to be tied to the public school system, I am seeing those resources just come up everywhere. But if you're worried that you won't have the finances to get those on your own, you're not really sure where to get all those classes, Homelink and MCP provide some of those things that may help your child. And I say this lightly, not fall behind, but just make sure that they just stay on track. And I even hesitate to say it that way. I hear this all the time. My child is going to fall behind. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but I just want to say right now, fall behind whom? Fall behind a state standard? Your child is wonderful. Your child may need a little bit extra help, but they're not going to fall behind. They just need your love, and they need you. They just need someone to help show them at a slower pace than maybe what is in a traditional classroom. But Homelink and MCP can give you some of those extra resources so that you feel like you can adequately teach your child, and they won't get discouraged, and you won't be discouraged. So I guess that's a better way of saying it. If you're afraid that you guys are going to be discouraged, you're afraid your child is going to be discouraged, there's not the resources out there, Homelink and MCP can really help you get those resources and just help you connect the dots for you and your child. Okay. And the last thing of why you could use Homelink or MCP is if you can't afford to purchase curriculum. Now here's the caveat to that. Homelink and MCP will provide you curriculum free of charge only on state-approved curriculum. And both of the schools have on their websites the curriculum you can and cannot use. So state-approved curriculum is any curriculum that really is not religious in nature. So that means if you want to use a Becca, you want to use BJU Press, you want to use Sunlight, you want to use some of those ones that have overtly religious overtones to them, you can't get those through Homelink and MCP. You have to get either the companion, so Sunlight's companion is Bookshark, or you just sort of have to do those on your own, which makes your homeschooling that much more, just that much bigger. Like if you're having to report in that you're using that you're using Bookshark, but then you're also using Abeka, that's a lot of extra work for you, for your kids, just to manage in general. So Homelink and MCP will provide you your curriculum as long as it's approved by the state. And there's a lot of it out there. I mean, I use 90% of our stuff is approved by the state. But the 10% that we really like is not approved by the state. And so I could not get Homelink or MCP to provide that to me. Also, I can't report it in. So if I'm using, like Christian Light Educators, let's say I chose something from them, a science program through them, and I was saying that I was having Homelink, do my science, I couldn't report in on Christian Light Educators. I would have to find something else that the state approved for science. And so it just makes it a little bit trickier. But if you can find it and you like it, Homelink and MCP will provide you curriculum. There are some things you can only do one grade level a year. So like if you're choosing Bookshark, you can only choose Bookshark D or B or F for the year. If you get done with it, say you guys are just, you just love it and you just dig into it and you get through it and it's December, they won't provide you the next one because that is a whole year curriculum. Now, if you're using All About Spelling, All About Reading, and you guys are going through that, they'll keep giving you those because those are like, step-by-step sequential things. But if you order an all-in-one curriculum that's supposed to be spread out over like 36 weeks, you can't get a new set of that stuff halfway through just because you and your family dove into it and you guys just devoured that stuff. So just note that that is part of Homelink and MCP will provide some stuff, but there are some rules around how much they will and won't give you. Okay, I'm going to flip my page here real quick on my notes. Okay. So now 3 reasons to go against, like why you shouldn't, I guess, I don't want to say shouldn't, why you may not choose Homelink or MCP. So the first one is this. It is super easy to homeschool your kid independently. And I will tell you my story. We did 2.5 years through Homelink. And that whole time, I remember telling my friend who is in Oregon, I could never independently homeschool. You are amazing. I can't do that. I need someone to like sort of hold my hand to report into. I need to make sure my kids don't fall behind. I need to make sure that someone else is helping me keep on schedule. I had all the excuses in the book. And for the first 2 years plus a few extra months, I was like, nope, can't do it. I'm never independently homeschooling. And then we decided to independently homeschool. And there's a whole story behind how that happened. But when I did and I cut the strings and I went independent, I was like, that was really easy. That was way easier than I thought. And as long as I follow the rules, those 4 rules I told you about, and if you still have questions on those four rules and what you need to do to independently homeschool, I have an episode, number 3, on how to independently homeschool and making sure that you follow those rules. So go check out episode 3. But it was easy. And now that I am on my own, and I love it. Like I can up and take a week off and we go camping in like September or October, and I don't have to ask the school's permission. Like that's one thing at Homelink. I still would have to, if my kids were in classes on campus, I would have to tell them we weren't going to be there. I would have to make sure then I reported in that we, submitted in what we were doing that week. But now that I am independent, I don't have to do that. So if we want to go camping or we want to go hiking and it's the middle of the week, we just close our books and we go off and do what we want to. I like our family, like I said a couple of weeks ago, we do 6 weeks on and a week off, and we go year round with that schedule. So in the summer, we might take a little bit longer of a break, but we've already done 2-3 weeks of school. Plus I sprinkled it out, some grammar and spelling through the rest of the summer. So it's great. I don't have to report in what I'm doing and where I'm going and what curriculum we're looking into. I just go off and do my own thing. And it is so easy. And it's really refreshing when I can just be like, this is what we're doing. And so I would highly encourage you to do that. I know it may seem a little bit daunting and overwhelming, but you can do it. Trust me, you can. So here's another reason you maybe don't want to use Homelink or MCP is your kid won't fall behind. And I think I said this earlier, and you probably have heard it from other people. The thing is, everybody keeps saying, oh, your kid is going to fall behind. But fall behind whom? Fall behind what standard? Those standards that they have in the public school system are based off of something that somebody thought was what every kid needed to know. But I'm sorry, but a lot of those things, do you guys remember all that you were taught in high school and middle school and elementary school? Or do you remember the things that you found pleasure in researching yourself? And every kid learns it at his own pace. I could sit here every single day and drill math with my daughter until she is crying, till I'm crying, till it is 10 o'clock at night. And is that homeschool? Is that worth it to me? No, we just go at her pace. And yeah, I guess maybe if I put her back into public school, she might be behind their set of standards for that. But then you would look at her read a book, and she's reading books that I'm reading. She can pick up any book and just read it, and like read it front to back cover in a couple of days. She loves reading. So every child learns on their own. My sons are both really, really good in math, but they're not going to sit there and read a book. That doesn't hold their attention at all. So you just have to look at each of your child and realize you're not going to fall behind. If they do need extra help and there is some learning needs there, like I said, the Tri-City community is growing with resources. Teach the Children Homeschool Resource Center can get you hooked up with those. There's a dyslexia group here in town. You can get all sorts of resources. And if you just reach out and you're like, I need this, I can find you these resources, or I can help you find these resources. There's all sorts of things out there, ways so that your child doesn't get discouraged, or we can research methods of homeschooling that maybe your child learns best if he just sits outside, or maybe you guys need to switch your homeschool from the morning to the afternoon, or vice versa, from the afternoon to the morning. Or, maybe you have to do it on the weekends because you work during the week. Whatever the case is, there's ways to get around, thinking that your child is going to get behind. And so I really want to encourage you that your child is doing great and you're doing great. So don't think that you need to be with Homelink or MCP because your child is going to fall behind. Otherwise, they won't. You're going to do awesome. The other one is this curriculum thing. I know everybody's like, I want this big, robust curriculum. And trust me, I am on that boat. I'm slowly taking myself off of that boat of needing a large curriculum bus to get in, to get onto every year. But you really don't. You can go to the library. If your kids are really into knights and princesses and castles, build a whole year out of doing that. Do math around that. Do spelling around that. Do history around that. Literature. Write stories. Go and visit castles in the area. Let's say they're really interested in farm animals. Do the same thing. Go visit farms. I mean, this is a great area to get into agriculture and to dig deep into how you grow your food. What pesticides are on there? Should we have those pesticides? How do they help those grow? How are farmers being friendly to the area? What about animals? How can you raise animals? 4-H, FFA. Oh my goodness, you could go on and on and on. And you can build your whole homeschool around different topics. So you don't need a curriculum. Don't think you need to run out there and be like, I need the latest and greatest $800 curriculum. I did that the first year. Let me tell you, true story. I did that our first year of homeschooling. And my husband was like, what did you do? Then we got halfway through the year and I was like, we didn't even need half of this. And so the next year I bought less and less and less until this year I bought everything on eBay, and I go down and buy everything used at a couple of the a couple of the homeschool bookstores on the other side of the state. And I don't even worry about it because I know that my kids are going to learn what they want to learn. My son loves drawing, so I buy him drawing books. We check out drawing books. He takes drawing classes. My daughter loves animals, so we do lots with animals. I just build our whole stuff around what they're interested in and then go from there. I say that all to say with math, I do make them and we do drill math. We use Saxton math. And math UC, and I do I try to every day do a math lesson, so that way they get a little bit of math. Every day, our two big things that we try to hit every day is math and Bible. And so those are the two big things, but everything else, it comes and goes. Have you been thinking about getting your carpets cleaned? Well, let me tell you about Continental Cleaning and Restoration. They came into the Teach the Children Resource Center, cleaned those carpets up, and boy, did they look good. Give them a call at 509-582-9121 if you want your carpets looking as fresh as they can be. So there are good reasons to use Homelink and MCP, and there's reasons to not use them. And I won't say, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you they're both wonderful options, whether you go independent or Homelink / MCP. So just know that whatever your choice is the best. Do it for what's best for your family, not what you think you should be doing. If you do decide to independently homeschool, there are co-ops. The Resource Center is going to be opening this fall, and we'll have some classes. You can take some of those classes. There's lots of other classes during the day. I see more and more homeschooling classes pop up. There's like homeschooling roller skating coming up. I've seen homeschool swim team, all sorts of things, homeschool karate classes. So just know that as our homeschool community grows, there will be more available to you. So you don't feel like you have to choose Homelink or MCP to get what you need, to get what your child needs. All right. With that, I just want you to know that you are fully capable and you can totally do this. And your child, you know your child best. So, go do it. I will leave you with one story. I will say this. A lot of people ask me, how do I know if my child is ready to go on to the next thing or ready to embrace the next, section of like math or science or whatever? I'm going to come back to the story with my oldest son. He walks to a drum to his own beat, however you say that. He walks his own drum. If I push him to do something, he won't do it. Trust me. I tried to take his binky away at two or whatever age it was, and he revolted, could not do it. So I just let him have it. And a week later, he literally just handed it to me one day and was like, all done. He had to come to it on his own terms. So I say that we do karate, we do a lot of karate. And when you get to green belt, you're about halfway through your karate journey of becoming a black belt. And so I said to him, you're going to wait a good year or more in this green belt program. I want you to mature. And at first he was really, really upset. He was like, I think I'm ready for a brown belt. And so he got into that green belt class. He started just going at it. And slowly it dawned on him as he was seeing the brown belts that maybe he wasn't ready. And so he just settled in and he rode this green belt wave where it took him about a little over a year. And I watched him. I sat back and I just watched him mature and get ready to become a brown belt. And after a year, he came to me one day and he's like, Mom, I think I'm ready to test for my brown belt. And I said, okay. And I said, do you realize that if you fail though, you may fail, right? And he said, yep, Mama, I know that. And so he tested and he didn't pass. And we drove home and I said, are you upset? And he said, yes, but I know what I need to do to get to brown belt. So he took the next 3 months and him and I came up with a plan of how he was going to do it. I let him lead the plan. He did it. He attacked it for the next 3 months. And then the day he tested and became a brown belt, it makes me want to cry because I watched him do it. And if I would have pushed him, if I would have said, oh my goodness, he's going to be behind his friends or behind his peers or whatever, it wouldn't have meant what it meant to him. But also there is no behind. So I just want you to take that and take it to your child. There is no being behind. There is no, we need to rush them to the next thing. You are homeschooling your child because you know your child. So just take each day, do what is best for your child or your children, and they're going to show you when they're ready, and you're going to know. And my son and I, we knew when he was ready for his brown belt, and so he did it, and he followed the plan, and when he became a brown belt, I think all of us were like, he owned it. Like, he did it. And so that's the same with your children. They will get there, and when they're 18 or 19 or whatever it is, and they launch out on their own, they will be ready because they know they have a loving mom and dad at home who helped them through all of this. And they learned exactly what they needed to know from parents who love them. So whether or not you choose Homelink, MCP, or you go independent, just know whatever your choice is, you're doing it to love your child. And I'm here to help. You can reach out to me. You can leave a comment. You can Facebook message, Instagram message, whatever you need to do. Get a hold of me. If you do choose Homelink, reach out to them. MCP, the same thing. They have great people there to help you start the school year off on the best foot forward. All right, guys, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you around this fall, and enjoy this last few weeks of summer. It's going to be hot again, so go enjoy this time with your kids. See you guys later.